Hi guys, welcome to CHELSGROWS. I'm Chelsea. I'm on a mission this year to grow as many flower and food crops as I can in the Pacific Northwest. And I just posted a video sharing with you guys what's still growing in my balcony garden here in March in the Pacific Northwest in Zone 8B. I'll show you how wet and miserable it is outside though. This is a typical March day. It's rainy, it's cold, it is what it is. But this is the garden. You guys can see all my little containers where I sowed seeds. Lots of greens still happening. My kale is going to flower and to seed. So this is gonna be a real cozy video. We're gonna chat about growing in the Pacific Northwest, growing in this unique climate, because I posted that short video and I got a comment from one of you guys and you said, wow, I have a rooftop and this is giving me so many ideas. Coming from growing in Zone 10A in California to now growing in Seattle, it's a serious learning curve. And I realized, wow, there's a lot of people who move here to the Seattle area, to the King County area. Growing here is probably really hard. It's a mild climate because we have really mild summers, really mild winters, we have wet springs. If you're coming from California, if you're coming from Florida or Arizona, if you're coming from those areas where it's probably hot most of the year and you can probably grow a lot of crops most of the year, it's not really the case here in the Pacific Northwest. So I wanted to share with you guys some key resources that made it so I was able to grow my garden within 2 growing seasons, which I think is pretty quick. My first growing season, I started my garden in June. That's like the worst time to start a garden. Don't start your garden in summer. You can, but for me, it did not go well. It did not go well. We have a very unique climate here. We have a maritime climate. And if you don't know what a maritime climate is, you can Google it. I didn't know I was living in a maritime climate for years. I was born and raised here in King County, Washington. I've grown up here my entire life. I've known that it's a mild climate. I know that we have wet springs. We do get hot summers, but not really that hot. Days that are above 90 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer, very rare. They're getting a bit more common now, whatever. So I have some key resources and books that helped me understand growing here in the Pacific Northwest. And I think it'll help you guys. Getting these books, it like changed my perspective on gardening, because I think gardening, a lot of people just fantasize about the outcome. They're fantasizing about the tomatoes, the carrots, the onions, the leafy greens, the kale. They're fantasizing about, okay, what am I going to harvest? Before you even get to that point, you need to understand your climate. This will be specific to Pacific Northwest growers. The reason why I'm doing this specifically to Pacific Northwest growers is because I believe you should be following people and taking advice from people who grow in your area. If you're following someone who lives in San Diego, but you live in Michigan, that's a completely different climate. And there's so many content creators who show you how to grow. I follow them, you follow them. It's amazing. But if you really want to get good advice, I believe you need to get books and resources that are specific to your area and follow people who live in your area and talk to other growers and farmers in your area. So that's like advice number 1. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your local farmers, talk about your local climate. I mean, that's what I did. I started working in plant nurseries. I worked in 2 plant nurseries in 1 year, and that opened my eyes, honestly, to like the climate I'm living in and how unique it is. So I want to get into this first book. It's called Real Gardens Grow Natives, Design, Plant, and Enjoy a Healthy Northwest Garden. It's really all about native plants in the Pacific Northwest. And I know this isn't technically a food gardening book, but this book really helped me understand this like really unique region that we live in and our unique native plants. So that's why I want to shout this book out first. If you go out on like a hike or a trail here in the Pacific Northwest, you'll see so many evergreens, so many conifers, so many unique plants, so many like sprawling ground covers and everything. And this is honestly kind of what helped me get my job in a native plant nursery. Was I read this book, I did the interview. I had some knowledge about native plants because I read this book. The manager who hired me, they just saw potential in me, which is amazing. I no longer work there. It just taught me a lot about native plants. And it also has helped me identify common plants here in the Pacific Northwest. So for example, this page is all about the red flowering currants. This is Ribes sanguineum. And most of my life, I have noticed this plant because it is one of the first plants to bloom these beautiful pink blooms in the spring. I've seen this plant my whole life, but I didn't know what it was or what it was called until I read this book and until I worked in a native plant nursery. The reason why it stands out to me so much is because I know this is one of the first flowering plants in spring, in March. It's things like that where these books have opened my eyes to like, oh, I've seen this plant my whole life. And reading this book really opened my eyes to why native plants are important for our local ecosystems, for our local pollinators and everything. Unfortunately, since I only have like a small space, right? I only have a 40 square foot balcony garden. I only grow in half of it. So I have only a handful of native plants that I got from my old workplace. But if you have a huge yard and you don't know what to plant in it, I highly suggest getting this book because it also teaches you how to design with the native plants. The amazing thing about native plants is they will take care of themselves for the most part. You put them in your yard, maybe you water them for the first year or two, and then they will establish. And since they're native to the soil, to the environment, they'll just take care of themselves. If you're more so thinking about like native plants and you have a lot of room to grow native plants, I highly suggest this book. The next book I want to talk about, I checked it out from the library, and I'm a member of the King County Public Library System, and it's amazing. All of these books I believe are available at KCLS. It's really easy to use. You can just put your books on hold and then it will be sent to your local library. I'm a huge King County Library person. I will sing their praises every day because I've learned so much free information from the King County Public Library System. I checked this out from my local library. This book is called The Maritime Northwest Garden Guide, Planning Calendar for Year-Round Organic Gardening. And this is written by the Tilth Alliance. So if you are new to Washington or if you're not aware what Tilth Alliance is, I'm reading off their website right now. They work in community with Washington farmers, gardeners, and eaters to build a sustainable, healthy, and equitable food future. I've met a lot of people who work at Tilth who do amazing work. They teach a lot of classes and a lot of workshops. They teach people how to garden. I'll probably even buy this book once I have to return this because this literally takes you month by month, January, February, March, April, May, and it tells you what to start, what to plant, and everything in between. I love books like this because you don't have to read it all at once. You can read it all at once, or you can just read it chapter by chapter as the months are going, and that's how I've been reading it. This literally has a whole section on what the maritime climate is. So it says, in the maritime Northwest, the climate brings steady, moist, and mild weather that can drive even the most casual sun worshiper to distraction. Considering our regional weather patterns will help you work with the natural flow of the seasons to grow edibles year-round. The gigantic Pacific Ocean provides a climate that is temperate the whole year round. The sheer size of the ocean causes solar warmth to be slowly accumulated and slowly released, moderating temperature changes through the season. The winds from the ocean bring moderately cool, moist air across the Northwest in winter and summer months. So anyway, we could sit here and I could tell you all this, right? Like I could just read this book verbatim. If you just check this out from your local library, like you'll get it, okay? So for example, we are in the month of March. It says what to sow outdoors. They give you like the families, which I feel like once you figure out what plants are in what families, you kind of can categorize your plant families into like cool weather crops, warm weather crops. In March, we are sowing cool weather crops. So for example, the beet family, which is spinach and Swiss chard. The pea family, which is like snow peas, snap peas. The mustard family, brassicaceae, which is arugula, kales, broccoli. It's telling you what to sow. It gives little anecdotes about protecting farmlands, about living soil. It's just a really cool book. It does vegetables and it also does flowers, which I like. So it says to sow outdoors borage, which we did in our last video. Farewell to Spring, which we did in one of our last videos. They provide a planting and harvesting calendar. So you read this calendar, gives you a little key. So P1 means plant first sowing, which is all in green. H1, harvest first sowing. P2, plant fall or winter sowing. H2, harvest fall and winter sowing. So you can literally just follow this planting and harvesting calendar. It's amazing. On this page as well, it tells you more about Tilth Alliance. They're a nonprofit educational organization nurturing vibrant and sustainable food culture in Washington State by using farms, gardens, and kitchens as classrooms and laboratories to teach people about growing, preparing, eating fresh food in ways that regenerate healthy ecosystems. Tilth Alliance, I highly suggest if you're in the King County area, just to put this on hold at your local library. And if you love it, to buy it. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna buy it. The third book is the first Pacific Northwest book, specific gardening book I've ever gotten. And this is what changed my gardening last year. So this was a gift from my husband because my first gardening season didn't go well. It did not go well. I was using the wrong soil. I was planting the wrong plants in the wrong seasons, and I saw this book. It's called Vegetable Gardening in the Pacific Northwest. I think we were just in Barnes & Noble, and I was just sitting on the ground just like reading this obsessively, and he was like, I'm just gonna get that for you. I was like, oh no, like I'm such a person where I like to check out books at the library before I buy anything. So I was like, I'll just check it out, like I'll see if the library has it. He was like, I'll just buy it for you. This was technically gifted to me from my husband. Thank you, Tom. Similar to the Tilth Alliance book, this literally takes you from like getting started to January to February so let's just take, for example, we're in the month of March. So it says start growing, month of March. March in the Pacific Northwest can be a warm breath of spring and sunshine, or wintry and mired in mud. Often it is both. I agree. It was really nice last week. Warm, sunny, felt like spring, and now it is terribly cold, muddy, wet winter. Bulbs bloom, seeds sprout, and plants grow at remarkable rates. However, even in the midst of this dewy, dripping, showery, some might say sodden season, experienced Northwest gardeners know to anticipate and plan for 8 to 10 weeks of punishingly dry, parched conditions which routinely show up after our generally damp 4th of July festivities conclude. In this chapter, I'll show you how I've learned to weather this climatic bait and switch through many seasons in my own garden. Honestly, like you guys know how I sowed Swiss chard, kale, parsley. It's because it literally tells me sow and plant chard, parsley, kale. Prepare and maintain. Start seeds indoors. Broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, peppers, and tomatoes. I'm not going to be starting seeds indoors until the end of the month, and you guys will see me do that. I'll be starting my peppers and my tomatoes and potentially more broccoli and cabbage indoors under grow lights after I'm back from Hawaii towards the end of the month. So you guys will see me do that. Direct sow, cilantro, peas, spinach, lettuce. And then it also will tell you what you should be harvesting. Arugula, chard, kale, which is what I'm harvesting from my March garden from last year's crops. Your garden won't really be doing this like full round year harvesting until you really get like a first year of planting down right. The fact that I'm harvesting lettuce, kale, snap peas, calendula, parsley, the oregano is waking up, the sage is waking up. The reason why I'm harvesting that now in March of this year is because I planted all of those things either early spring last year or end of summer last year. I'll put all of these resources and in these books down in the description, of course. I highly recommend, if you are in the Pacific Northwest, live in King County, to check out the King County Library System and see if they already have these books. There's also the Seattle Library, which is different from the King County Libraries. There's it's another public library. I don't frequent it, but maybe if you're in Seattle, you'll be able to get the books there. Or of course you could buy the books. If you are planning on being in the Pacific Northwest, maybe you're in the Seattle area. And the reason why I always bring up the Seattle area is because like I live in the Seattle metro area, in the King County area. And I know there's literally hundreds of thousands of you who also live in this area who probably want to grow something, whether that be food, flowers, native plants. You have the urge to put your hands in the dirt and to cultivate crops. That was me a few years ago. Now I'm just growing what I can, okay? So my big advice is wherever you are growing, whether that be here in the Pacific Northwest or in Florida or in Michigan or in Texas, I highly recommend to check out gardening or growing books from your local public library that are specific to your growing region. In the Pacific Northwest, we are in a maritime climate. So I'm checking out maritime Northwest gardening guides. That's what I'm gonna check out because that's where I am. I'm gonna talk to local farmers. I'm gonna talk to local gardeners. I'm gonna ask them, what are you planting this one? What crops do you, what's your crop plan? There's a girl who I will be growing alongside this year on that plot of land that I keep talking about, but I haven't signed a contract yet. Her and I went to a cafe last week and we compared crop calendars. We compared our crops for the year and we talked about it. We talked about what we're excited for, new crops we're trying, crops we're not sure about. Talk to people who are also growing in your area and talk to them about your experience. I mean, this is all shared knowledge. This isn't knowledge that like people are just coming up with. Knowledge in these books from the Tilth Alliance, from this Vegetable Gardening Pacific Northwest, and from the Real Gardeners Grow Natives. This isn't stuff that these authors, even though thank goodness for these authors that they put this together, they didn't just like make this up. This is like years and years of like taught knowledge and research that they learned from other people, and then they're applying it to their gardens, into their yards, into their farms, and then they're publishing these books. That's my advice. So to that person who commented like it's such a learning curve growing here than California, I personally have never grown anywhere else, so I can't compare it to anything. But what I can say is I have never tasted better kale, Swiss chard, lettuce, herbs, parsley, cilantro. I'm just saying that greens here, leafy greens, whether that be leafy green herbs or leafy green salads, they just taste so good. I think it's because they're cool climate crops that just love growing here. If there's anything that you take away from this, look at resources and follow people who grow in your area and talk to your neighbors, talk to your local farmers. They will know better than anyone of what works and what doesn't in certain seasons, okay? All the books that I mentioned will be in the description. Next week, we'll check on the seedlings because next week I will be going to Hawaii to see my family. So before we go, we kind of have to do one watering of all the seedlings, check on how they're doing, and maybe sow more seeds. If you learned something from this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel CHELSGROWS. Let me know what you're growing. Let me know resources that have helped you in your garden or in your farm or wherever you're cultivating your crops. I will see you soon. Love you, mean it. Bye.